Hello, everybody. It's Stephen and Walter back again for another episode of So Chatty, um, or as Walter likes to call it, So Shitty. Yeah,
So catty.
So Catty. Yeah, it could be So Catty too. Yeah, whatever. It's So Chatty. Okay, and it is episode number 146 for June the 21st, 2024. And what's significant about June the 21st?
Is it the solstice?
2 points for Brisno. Yeah. 2 points for Walter on it. Yes, it is the summer solstice. And what's special about the summer solstice?
Does it mean it's summer?
Yes, but there's something else special about the summer solstice.
Oh yeah, it's the longest day.
Very good.
Which I imagine it's the shortest day right now in Australia.
Well, yeah, they're like flipped, right? So, yeah, it would be. But, anyways, this is where you're supposed to get naked and run around Stonehenge. Apparently, they don't like people getting near Stonehenge because they spray paint it. Yeah, there's a protest group or something who were spray painting Stonehenge. The same group that threw soup or something on a Van Gogh or paint or something like that. Like, there's a way to protest and then there's a way not to. And really, why are you taking out your frustrations about whatever? I think they're protesting climate change or something, whatever. So, yeah, that's really going to put you in a good state. Like, let's cover an ancient monument that we don't understand what it really means with spray paint. Yeah. Okay. Taking the home decor a little far. Anyway, speaking of home decor and what we've been working on, I have been working on a bag. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about this bag today, just give you a little glimpse of it. I finished it this morning. It is an In the Hoop project, and on Idiot Quilter next week, I will be talking about this in a little bit more detail. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. What do you think, Walter?
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it turned out really nice. Walter has the files for this. He can make his own version of one if he so desires. But anyways, yeah, we'll talk more about it. If you've never done an in the hoop, meaning using your embroidery machine to make a bag, you can. Now, you don't make the whole bag in the embroidery hoop in terms of like it all comes out like this. You have to use your conventional sewing machine to sew the panels together, but that's not very difficult to do. And yeah, they turn out very nice, and it's a good size to that bag. So it's, this is where you need, though, as we've said before, if you're going to buy an embroidery machine, buy one with the biggest hoops you can get that you can afford, because this took the 36B on the Janome 550E, which is a big
Yeah, it's
hoop.
a 7.9 wide by 14-inch hoop.
Yeah. And this pattern did come with measurements for making, for using smaller hoops, but you're going to get a smaller bag too. And I mean, tote bags, at least the way I look at it, is you want to have a big bag.
This is a decent medium-sized bag, I said.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah, it's about 16 inches tall by about 14 inches wide. It's got a 6-inch bottom to it, which is substantial. Um, and it's all fully lined in the whole bit. But I will go into details about this next week on the Idiot Quilter. Now, the next thing is, of course, these. And there's been some controversy about my blocks. Not from me, not from Walter, surprisingly, but from you people out there. Because I said on the Idiot Quilter when I showed this picture earlier in the week that I was using fabric that I thought was maybe 1930-ish in appearance. It's not actually fabric from the 1930s, but I thought it had that look. Well, there were many of you out there. I don't know how many of you are certified quilt historians or fabric textile historians, but you were giving me some tips and tricks, which led me to do some research. But right now, I felt that a lot of this fabric was reminiscent is the key word, of the 1930s style, and I thought was appropriate for these kind of traditional blocks. And after all, it does come from a book called The Underground Railroad. Now, right then and there, you're going to say, but the Underground Railroad was during slave times in the United States, and that was, Civil War period. And you would be absolutely right. So I suppose there's a hint there, if you're picking out fabrics specifically, that I should have been leaning more towards Civil War style fabrics. Well, I'll let you know something. Some of these have that in it too. Some of it is 1930s, some of it is Civil War, according to the salvages on some of the fat quarters I used for this. But not all the fat quarters had a salvage on them. So I did a little bit of research with all of this, and let me just put up here on the screen, get this out of our way, and let's go here. Okay, so I looked up to see if I could find some examples of Civil War and 1930s fabric. And this is what on Moda, they had this. These, of course, are reproductions. But here's what they're saying are more of the Civil War style. A lot of prints, large prints, but they had small prints too, by the looks of this. Colors are, what I would consider, I guess, muted, maybe. Browns, blues that are not real bluish, blue-green, greens, reddy, rosy colors into it. And my quilt has those shades in it as well. Not so sure about the purples and the flowers, but this is what Moda is calling Civil War. Now, I think they're being a little loose in their definition, but they are a fabric production company, so I would have thought they'd know. And here's, in comparison, the 1930s type of thing. And I'll go down a little bit further. This was focusing on fashion colors. But here you get an idea of the prints. They tend to be a little smaller, maybe. Here's some here showing you. And quite frankly, for me anyways, if you were to throw out a fat quarter that's supposed to be Civil War and a fat quarter supposed to be 1930s and ask me which is which, I couldn't tell you. Could you tell?
No, well, I don't know.
They look pretty close.
Aren't you just looking, getting an idea of having a vintage,
yes,
vintage,
an older look. That's all I was going for. But boy, I didn't think it was going to cause so much controversy with people. People were getting really, they were being very helpful, trying to educate me. That's not where I want it to go. Being very helpful in educating me about all of this stuff. Well, I just picked something for a mood. And I think I got the mood that I wanted with it. It's not a big deal, but, I don't know why sometimes people get just crazy over it. But anyways.
They're probably the same people that can't decide which fabric to use in their clothes.
Yeah. I never get too hung up on that. So, anyways, now let me just see. I thought I had. Yeah. Okay, so we went shopping earlier today before we started recording this because now that I've got all the blocks done on the Underground Railroad quilt, I want to put them together, but I definitely want to have sashing. So I was looking for some fabric that was like what I'm using in the blocks. I had fat quarters, but I didn't have enough of yardage to cut sashing and background. Now, ignore the white one. That's not going in this quilt. I was there and I wanted some more background fabric. I saw this, and so I bought whatever was on the bolt. I think it was 4.5 meters of that. So ignore that. But these are the two that I'm showing you that I want to use. I want to use the lighter one for the sashing because a lot of the blocks in that I've got of this tend to be a little bit on the darker side. This is not the order this is going to be in. Okay, this is just laid out on the design wall just as a placeholder. I'm going to rearrange the blocks to what I like, and then I'll do the sashing. And then for the a wider outside border, I'm going to use the darker one. Now, these, I don't know what these are. One is called Chantilly French or something, and the other one, can't tell you what it said. It's on the bill. That's the LCBO. That's not on that bill. I'm going through my garbage looking for the bill. Here it is. Here it is. So, the bill says that the floral, they both look floral to me. Okay, this one's called the Star Vine, and it's called Scraps of Kindness, and this one is called Chateau de Chantilly Floral. Okay, that's the names of these fabrics. I have no idea if they are trying to reproduce them as Civil War or as 1930s. Anyone know something? You guys don't need to waste your breath about that because it doesn't matter to me. They'll work with the quilt. That's all that matters to me with that. So, anyways, thank you for trying to educate me. Not that interested. Sorry to say, but I'm not. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I just figured
Yeah, you're just going for a look.
I'm going for a vibe.
Yeah.
A vibe on it. Yeah. There we go. But I did really enjoy making those blocks. And I even made, let me just switch back over here for a second. There were two blocks I said I wouldn't make when I first saw them in the book. And that's this one that's round. It's called the Wagon Wheel. And this one, the Drunkard's Path. And I made them both. And they were not difficult to do because they did these as sort of applique, but and I have seen this method of applique done before where you actually have some interfacing that you put the pieces on after you've sewn that, like the circle, after the circle was sewn, you had the interfacing on the back. You slit a hole in the interfacing and put the right side of the interfacing and the right sides of the block together, and then pulled it through, pressed it, and applique stitched. And I used an invisible thread. That's why you can't see the applique stitch. It's just a running stitch around it. And you did the same thing with the Drunkard's Path pieces, which was kind of cool because you made a circle, put it on a square, using that applique method, and then you cut the squares into 4 pieces, and then you rearrange them, and you got the pattern that's there for it. So it's kind of an interesting method because you don't have any raw edges, so it's not raw edge applique, but it's kind of like needle turn, but it's not needle turned either. So I'm sure many of you have seen this method before. It's probably got a name. I'm sure 12 of you will tell me what it's called and tell me all about it, because you do. But anyways, yeah, so I made every one of the blocks that are in that book. They're all there. There are 15 blocks. So it's going to go 3 across, 5 down. So you have the sashing. It's not going to make a really huge quilt. But I'm thinking I might see if I have some friends that we're going to see in a few weeks' time. And they're really into, well, one of them anyways is into stuff that is like this, the vintage look. But I don't know if they want another quilt. They already got a couple of things from me before, or I made them a table runner too that I'm giving to them when we go. So we'll see. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just keep it for myself if I really like it when it's done. But I did enjoy making these blocks. Okay. So that's what I've been up to. I've been up to some other things too, but I'm saving those for the Idiot Quilter. And Walter's been getting things ready for Stephanie's retreat.
I've been trying to finish her shirt too, so.
Yeah, that's an ongoing project. How far are you now with it?
I just got to put the buttons on.
Oh, we're getting close. Maybe if you get it done this weekend, we can premiere. Okay, who wants you? Okay, sorry for the little interruption. Walter had a scam call. That we've been getting a lot of those lately again on our phones. So yeah. Anyways, so Walter's. I was going to say if he gets the shirt done before Sunday, Stephen Walter Live, I will wear it and model it for you. And it's a nice shirt too. Well, they're all nice, but this one is really nice. Is it? It's the one with the Australian fabric, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yes. Was that the fabric at
Philippa gave us?
Yeah, it's a Philippa. So this one's a real special shirt. It's a Philippa shirt. Yeah. More about that maybe on Stephen and Walter Live. We'll see. So that's what you've been working at, and we're getting ready. Stephanie is having a retreat. Stephanie and Shannon are having a retreat on Sunday. We're signed up for it. We're doing a bag with Shannon, a beach bag. Yeah, I just made a beach bag too, but hers is an in the hoop project. It involves foundation paper piecing, which Shannon is the expert on. And Stephanie has a coordinating picnic quilt, she calls it, to go along with it too. Um, there's a little bit of trickiness in the cutting for Stephanie's quilt. Not difficult, but it involves eighths of an inch, and you know how I feel about eighths of an inch. And Walter is not as experienced with cutting these kind of things, so I have a ruler set up special for cutting eighths of an inch. Um, that I'm going to show him how to use. And then I really think we should spend a little time so I can show you how a block goes together with
Yeah.
it too. Because during Stephanie will show everybody how to do that. um, and yeah, I, for in the case of complete transparency, Stephanie sent me the pattern before she has released it to her balance, only because I proofread for her on her patterns. We do that for each other. So that's why I already have it, and that's why I'm not going to show you any of it. Not yet, because it's Stephanie's retreat. That's where all will be revealed. But she did sort of suggest that maybe I go over it with you too. Because she thought maybe, Walter's a garment sewer. Although he's now made his first quilt, hasn't got finished yet. But more on that later. So yeah, so that's one of the events that's coming up this weekend on Sunday, and another event. Well, some other events. Stephanie's got an event happening on Saturday night. Well, starting at 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon. It is going to be a YouTube live, and it's going to involve Stephanie and Russ and Ingrid and myself, and I think Shannon too. I think Shannon's involved as well. And we're doing a jelly roll race. Now, I have never done one of these. Apparently, it's where you can make a quilt really fast just using a jelly roll. And essentially, what I gather, I've watched some YouTube videos about it, you just sew them end to end. You can have some variations on that if you wish too. Like, I'm just going to do it straightforward way. Straight edge to straight edge. I'm not going to, do the how you make sashing and that kind of thing, go across, cut on the bias kind of a deal. You can do that and it gives you a different look. But for the sake of this, I'm just sticking to the simple. And she said that's what she was going to do too. And then you make this huge long strip of all these jelly rolls, and then you grab the beginning, you grab the end, you bring them up, you find the halfway point between those, you cut it, and then you start to sew again, except on you line up the two pieces and sew on the edge. And you sew and you sew and you sew and you sew, and then you do the same thing. Beginning, end, match them up, cut them, the halfway point, lay them out again, and do it until you get it to, I don't know how many times you do that, I guess until the size you want. You get out of that. So, and I guess it's a bit of a race because you're just doing straight stitching. You're just going, zzz, zzz. Now, zzz, zzz, that's Stephanie. Mine will be, zzz. So you know who's going to win the race. It will be Stephanie, for sure. But kind of interesting. So that's at 4 o'clock. It's already posted on YouTube in an upcoming thumbnail. And you guys can join in as well. And I don't know how much talking we're going to be doing because we're racing. But we'll see how that works out. Okay, so speaking of Stephanie again, of course, Wednesdays, Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. You know the drill. And Pop-Up Sew Day. Yes, we are having one. The next one will be June the 29th, Saturday, June the 29th. That's 1 week from this weekend. It is the start of the long weekend for us here in Canada, the July the 1st weekend, sort of our Independence Day, to put it in context with the Americans. And so I'm not sure how many people will be around for that. There may be quite a few. I don't know. But I'll be here. Walter may be here. He may not be. Because you still don't know for sure, do you? Whether
No,
you're
I
having
don't
your
know.
in-person sew day. So, yeah. So anyways, So that makes 2 in the month of June. There will be a dry spell. I'm not sure when the next one will be in July. That may not be until tail end of July because there's some things going on in July that's will keep me from doing that. Okay. And guess what we picked up yesterday at Kawartha Quilting? My AccuQuilt machine. And it's working. And Zach told me what he did. And I'll spare you the gruesome details on it. But Zach worked hard. And it should be okay now. And I really appreciate what Zach did because, he could have easily said, well, I'm going to have to send it back to AccuQuilt, and so you'll be without that machine for a year to 2 years, kind of a thing. But he didn't. He took it upon himself to figure it out and to fix it. And it involved some soldering on a circuit board, which he said he wasn't completely confident about doing that, but he did it. And yeah, it works. So I really appreciate what he did, and that's part of Kawartha Quilting service. As you've heard me say before, they are excellent for that. So I'm really happy. I'm thinking of making Zach a little present. I don't know. He impresses me as the kind of guy that might be interested in something that I would make. And I don't know if you figured out what I'm saying. I don't want to say it on here because they watch this. But things I've been making lately involving the 3D printer. Just for fun. Anyways, we'll see. Okay. So, you haven't said much. You bought fabric today.
Yeah, I did. All I did was buy some blender, off-white cream and light gray. And the reason I did that is because if I'm getting more involved in doing like Stephanie's projects and stuff like that, I need background fabric. And I don't really have any background fabric. I have all kinds of colored shirt material, but I don't have any background fabric. And I realized that when I was looking for stuff for this project on the weekend, and I go, I need to get some background fabric. So that's basically what I bought.
Yeah, and you do realize you have a lot of fabric. You have a lot of cutting to do.
Yes, I do.
Before Sunday.
Yeah,
yes,
I know. Do. I know. Well, I did all of Shannon's stuff first, so.
Oh, okay. Just saying.
Okay, fine.
I'm, willing to give you a hand with that and try.
No, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't want me to help. He doesn't. He's stubborn. Good God, somebody might know something more than he does, and then
no, I know, but I should do stuff on my own.
My eyes. Yeah. I learned that from Walter. Okay. So, so you bought that. And when we were up there, okay, it's called Quilter's Cupboard. It's a place about half an hour, 40 minutes north of us. We've been there before. I've talked about them before. Their fabric line tends to be
vintage,
more vintage style that they have up there. And that's why I went to get what I got today, because I knew they would have something that would work from there. Now they have new owners now, and I think the new owners are definitely trying to change the atmosphere of that store, because this is the second time we've been there since they've changed owners. And I think when they were under the other management there, the atmosphere we found was very cold. Just they weren't nasty or anything, but
they did the old as soon as two guys walked into a store, it's like, oh, are you here for what? Can I help you? Are you here for
like we're criminals?
Like your wives.
Yeah, kind of thing. But we noticed a definite change in the tone when you walked in. They didn't like pull the needle off the record player and everybody suddenly went silent in the saloon, kind of a thing. Look at you as we walked in. They're a little bit more warm and friendly in there. So I was having a conversation with one lady. I bought a kit. I'm going to show that on the Idiot Quilter, not today. And I need another kit. Like I need a kick in the head, but it's a Christmas one. And it was very untraditional. It's a panel kit. Um, and I thought, well, this would be kind of interesting to do and whatnot. And I liked the colors, I liked the fabrics, they were different. So I bought it. But I had said some time ago, there were a couple of kits that I bought there over the back a few years ago, and they shortchanged me on fabric. In fact, the first time that happened to me, it was a table runner. I thought, okay, what did I cut wrong? And I double checked my measurements and everything like that. And nope, I did not cut anything wrong. They didn't give me enough fabric. Luckily, I had stuff in my stash that I could use, and that worked out okay. And then I bought another table runner from them again sometime later, and I had a similar problem. So when I saw this kit, I was showing it to Walter, and Walter says, "Oh well, it's made by whatever the company's name that was on it, probably the thing." Although they had the Quilter's Cover sticker on it,
Mm.
and I said, "Oh okay, well," because I said I'm hesitating to buy this. I like it, but what if I run into this problem again? And Walter said, "Oh well, they probably didn't make it. It looks like it's from somebody else or whatever." So I thought, "Okay, fine." Then I'm talking to the lady who made the kit. She cut the fabrics for this, and she was very excited about it too, because she showed me the coordinating fabrics that if you wanted to make it bigger or something, that you could get. And I said to her, well, I don't want to insult you or anything or sound real negative, but I'm a little leery, although you say you cut it, because, and I told her what I just said to you a minute ago. And she said, wow, when was that? And I said, well, it's been a few years. It was at least 3, maybe even 4 years ago when this happened to me. And she said, well, did you call us up or did you say? I said, no, I didn't bother. I had stuff in my stash. I probably should have. Well, I didn't say this to her, but I said, I sort of did in a roundabout way. I figured if I called them up and told them that, they'd blame me. They'd say, oh, it was user error. You cut it wrong. We can sell you some more fabric for it. And so I did say to her, I'm not an amateur at this kind of thing. And she, oh, no, 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 I know that. And I said, and I did double check. I blamed myself first, but I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure I did not cut anything wrong. And I said, and then when I got a second one and had a similar problem, different pattern. So, anyways, I was checking out another lady in there, and I think she might be somebody who has something a little higher up, in the store hierarchy of staff. And she says, I just overheard you say about the problem, so I explained to her again what it was, and she said, well. And I think she was thinking back, and I think she had somebody very much in her mind that may have used to work in the store and maybe had problems before. And she said, and the problem is, she says, if one piece gets cut wrong, they use those same pieces they've cut at first as the template for cutting the other kits. So, in other words, the problem gets perpetuated with it. But if nobody tells them, they don't know.
Yeah.
So she said, if you have any problems, you be sure to let us know. And I says, oh, I will. Now, but yeah. So that's just part of, though, I think I was pretty sure that under the old management, the first thing that would have come out of their mouth is, well, you didn't know what you're doing. You made a mistake. It's your problem. We can sell you more fabric. They wouldn't even have listened to reason with it. Whereas now the tone is here, if you have a problem, let us know. We'll help you out, which is what I think a store should be all about. The customer's always right kind of a deal. So, yeah, um, they had a nice line of fabric that in there that it was sort of vintage, but sort of had a modern feel to it too. I think it was called Blackbird or something like this. And they had a couple of kits, and I really liked them, but I went, no, they were not cheap. They were like $265 for the one that I liked. And I thought, Yeah, but I'm buying this Christmas one. I almost thought, okay, the Christmas one was 140. I could put that back and then, using quilter's math, well, then the other kit would have only cost me 100 and something dollars because, I didn't buy the other one. Yeah, no. Didn't do it. Didn't do it. I am sort of wishing I had now, but I don't know. No, no, no. I like this one. But I'll show you the kit on Tuesday. All right. So, anything you want to add to our little excursion
No.
today? No, bored out of your mind, tears,
No, and
okay.
of course we had to stop at Port Perry so that
Well, we had to get
Steve could
jammers.
get jammers.
Jammers are cookies that I love. They are oatmeal, two oatmeal cookies, big oatmeal cookies with strawberry like jam in between them. And they call them jammers. When I was a kid, my grandmother used to get them at the local bakery. Anytime we were going down to visit her, she'd get them for us kids. And we called them in those days jams. They call them jammers. I absolutely love them. And they're good for you. They're oatmeal and fruit. I mean, you
And
can't
lots of
have.
sugar.
They're oatmeal and fruit with just a hint of sugar. It's just sweet. No, they're great for Dunkin' in a big glass of chocolate milk. Yeah. Yum, yum. Walter just gives me. He's so judgmental about things because, he's watching his blood sugar and everything like that. Yeah. But doesn't stop him from force feeding me ice cream every night.
Yeah, right.
Do you want some berries with some ice cream? He's having plain yogurt on his berries. Of course I want ice
Or
cream.
I'll have diabetic ice cream.
Oh, diabetic ice cream. Actually, that's very tasty. I could eat that. Did it come in other flavors?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, well.
Except every time I go to there, I have a chocolate in there too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but you still have some of that peanut butter left.
Yeah, yeah. That one's okay, but I'm not as fond of it because it's got chunks.
Mm.
And the chunks are
Pick the chunk to.
well, the chunks taste okay. It's just that, you're biting into some creamy ice cream and you get a lump. And it's like, what flew in there? A bug?
Yeah.
Was there a squirrel nearby and the container was open and it dropped a load? What? I don't know.
It's supposed to be like little peanut butter cups.
I know what it's supposed to be like. And it is actually. But anyways, it was something different.
Mm.
So I just have to eat that up. What a shame. Okay. So we're going to move on here now to the third part of Walter Does Lucey. In this part, Walter learns how to set up the computerized part of the long arm, which is the quilt path, and pick his design. And you might want to pause the video, get yourself something to drink, coffee, wine, a really stiff glass of whiskey, because it's painful watching him pick a pattern. He is so particular. Yeah.
I didn't. I thought I was doing pretty quick. Oh.
And then you were looking at it going, I don't know if I like that. Too late. Well, we were tracing it out. We did trace it out first without putting needle to fabric. So, yeah, so get a feel for the size of it and everything. Anyways, that's coming up right now. Okay, we're back. For you, it's been a week. For us, it's only been a few minutes. I've relocated the camera because what Walter's going to do is, see the tablet? That's where Quilt Path is. Quilt Path is the computerized system for quilting your quilt. No, Walter is not doing free motion, okay? Unless he wants to.
No.
No, good, because I don't know how to do that either. Anyways, we're not doing free motion, but this is going to be a little tricky because Walter has to sort of learn the program. Now, there's not much to learn for this stage of it, but he does have to pick out a pattern. So that's why I've moved the camera this way so you can see what he's going to do here. So the first thing you got to do is turn on the tablet. So just button at the top, just push it once. Okay, this is a Windows-based system that Quilt Path uses, so many of you will be familiar with the Windows logo, because this is a Surface Tablet Pro 7, and that's what came with the program. So it looks like a regular computer screen, and in fact it is a regular computer screen. But we want quilt path. So you see the column to your left, or to your left, the second last icon, just click it. Okay, double click it. Now you could use the stylus for this. Okay. Don't know why you have a problem.
I guess I didn't do it fast enough.
Now here, something coming. It says, make sure, here's your stylus, make sure the sewing machine needle is up and move the carriage to the center of the sewing area. 9 times out of 10, your needle is always up, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in the center. It's just there. But the reason they say that is because if your needle was down, this is going to move when we hit that OK button, just a little bit to get itself oriented. If the needle was in your quilt, down there, it will rip your quilt. So just click OK. See, moves a little bit. Okay, so you have all these to pick from. Now we're going to do an edge-to-edge design, so that means it's a pantograph. So click on pantograph. You're awfully gentle. Okay, now this wants you to set what they call the safe area. It's the area where anything outside of that, the machine won't go. So it's just a way to make sure everything is kept.
So that's bigger than your quilt, right?
It is bigger than your quilt. So the first thing it's asking you to do, it's got a basic diagram here of the machine, and it's got this box that says top left. It wants you to manually move your needle to the top left. So do that. And I'll show you where to place it. Now you want to place it just above this quilt, so about an inch, 2 inches, that'll be fine right there, and over about 2 inches. Okay, there, that's good. Now hit that box that says top left.
This one?
Yep. No, just the whole box. Just anywhere in the box. Okay. Now you're going to move the whole head of the machine over to, watch the tripod that the camera's on, to the bottom right hand area. So all the way over. Okay. Okay, bring it down here, about an inch from the bar right there, and a little over, a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Hit your... Okay, so now we've marked the safe area. The next thing we need to do is measure the width, the actual width of the quilt, and the machine does that. So what you need to do is move your head back over that way to the other end. He's trying to get around the tripod. Okay, and just bring it up somewhere, it doesn't matter where it goes, and come off the quilt a little bit, right there. Okay, now hit the little ruler icon that is there. Okay, and now hit this part here. This marks the left edge of the quilt. Now go all the way back down to the other one and move your head just beyond the quilt, and then you're going to hit the other one. And don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be kept absolutely straight. Just get it over there. Okay, so Walter's off screen right now.
Over here, like
yep, that's good. Hit that button. Now hit apply measurement. Why do you do it that way? I've never seen anybody use a stylus so awkwardly. It's not a magic wand. You use it like a pencil. Okay.
I have to do it on the other hand.
Now, there's one more thing we have to do. We have to know the length of your quilt, the overall length. If we'd been smart, but I never do this, so...
Well, it's the same length as the width.
Yes and no.
Okay.
We're going to just take our little tape measure right here, and I'll hold it for you there, and you just go down to the bottom of the quilt. And how much is it?
It says it's 61 and a half.
Okay, so let's round it up to 63.
Okay, 63.
We wanted it a little bigger than the actual size. Okay, so tap on that box that says total height. and put in 63. Click OK. Okay, so there's our working area. This was confusing the few times I did this because we're only going to be able to stitch in this area here. We only have about 21. How much do we have on Lucey? 26 or 21?
26, but you got to subtract about 5 inches.
Yeah, from it. So this is showing the whole quilt right now, but actually we're only going to do it. We'll do it in zones. But now we need to pick out your pantograph. So click on
Select pattern.
Select pattern. Okay, you have lots of different patterns. Now, there's different things up here at the top, but we want to do a continuous line. That means it's going back and forth. It's an edge-to-edge design. So out of here, and there's arrows to go down further, you can pick what you want. Now, a suggestion. This is a very linear quilt with angles. It's a lot of straight lines. So it's not a rule, but what a lot of people like to do, and I'm one of those people, is I like to use something that's got a bit of a curve to it. You don't want anything too terribly busy like that. Well, that's cat paws, but at the same time, what's
this difference between this one and that one?
That only does one curly Q. This makes little smaller ones, does two in a row. Now, you want something that's going to fill in your negative space. So you don't want something too big. Like right now, if we were looking at these two, my tendency would be to go for that one. But look through here and see what else you like. Now, if you don't see anything on these screens you like, I have other screens. Now, if you don't see anything there that's grabbing you, wait.
These look too busy to me.
Okay.
Okay, and those, and the only one that I saw that I didn't mind too much was these ones.
The curl circle. Okay. Click on patterns and go to Angela Clark continuous lines. Double click it. Okay, here's a whole bunch of other ones. And same thing, use your arrows to navigate down the screen.
How's that one work?
It's a feather. So it will go up, they curl around each other. Now, if you want it feathers, there are other feathers.
No, I don't know if I want feathers.
Okay, fine.
That's sort of a wave scroll, right?
Yep. Okay, so that's the end of those ones. There is another section. Thing is, too, once you pick one, you're not committed to that. Because we'll see it on the screen.
Yeah, that's true. How about that? Something like that, but that's...
Well, click on it. Okay, click on open. Okay, now, that's what it looks like overall, except these may be too close. So what you do is you click on the, not the ruler. Yeah, click on the ruler. No, sorry. Click on the magnifying glass. And just click up here somewhere. This will blow it up. And now you can see. Now, you see these are touching like that? You probably wouldn't want that. So all you need to do is go to vertical and hit the plus once. And it'll move down. Not too much of a, well, I would back it up. I wouldn't go any more than about 1/4 of an inch. Right there on that. So that's that one way. There are other options here though. See all of these? So if you click on any one of those and just see what happens to your pattern. Okay, click on a different one. See what happens. Click on a different one. That took you back to the original.
Well, what's the difference? I kind of like the original.
Okay, so that's the original. You have it right there. Okay. We won't play with any of the other buttons on it. Like you can do stagger. If you do stagger, just click on stagger once. So it does that. Click on it again. Does that. And then to get back to the original, you would just click on it again. So if you see something there you like.
Yeah, actually the stagger doesn't look bad.
Like that? Or the third one?
Yeah.
The third one looks okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, size-wise, it defaults. It's putting your pattern at 7 inches in height, which it might be a lot, but we don't have to commit to this yet. Pattern fitting, if you click on that one.
Pattern, this one?
Yep. Oops. It didn't really do much. Click on that one. So this is a thing I read in the book that people are still trying to figure out what this really does. It just moves things
Doesn't
slightly.
it just try to fit it in your little block there?
Yeah, basically. So it's up to you what you like. Like we go, there's 1, 2. 1, 2. So basically, when you're in that one, you're getting more of that chunk there. You go that way, you're getting a little less of the chunk. So it's all up to you, what you like. You know,
What do you think of that pattern?
Yeah, I think that pattern would be good. The only thing I'm questioning, and I always do, is most of the time the sizing, you'd leave it at the default. I have found works the best, but we can take a look at what this is going to look like in the overall just by clicking Sew in Zones. And just say, yeah, this warning comes up with the new version of this all the time. Nobody has figured out what it means. We ignore it. That's what the advice has been. Now, yes, we want to save it in case we know. So you click on yes, and you're going to give it a name, and you're going to click, just tap on that white box where it says, yeah, right in there. Just tap in the box. Now you can call it something. I would suggest just call it Curl 1. Okay, then click on Enter, and then click on Save. So if something went terribly wrong, we could get back to this. All right, this is what it will look like, but first of all, we're going to place it. There are different ways you can place it. I usually use the center placement. So we need to find the center of your quilt. Well, that's easy. This is your center of your quilt, right here. So you just move this up that line and just to the top edge, and click on that green box. And just say OK. Now, it's gone to pink. So that means we're outside the safe area. If we look carefully, it's okay on either side, but it's the very top. It's just right on the line. So all you do is just pull it a hair towards you and hit the green box again. And there we go. It's in the right position. Okay? So it will go off the edge of the quilt a little bit, but that's okay because that gets cut off. But if we want to really see what this is going to look like in the positioning, we can do trace mode before we do any sewing. Trace mode just will go and do the whole pattern across without dropping the needle and sewing anything. So you just click on trace. Oh, shit. Shoot. Okay, sorry about that, people. See the word trace? And it's asking you to manually move. You don't have to, but it's faster. So there, I want you to go up to where that starts. So just move move the whole carriage. Just over there. It'll go to the right spot. You don't have to be right on it. Okay, just leave it there. Click on OK. And it'll take a second. Now here it goes. So what I do is I watch this. I watch where it starts at the top and how much it's going off the edge. And that's pretty good. And this will give you a feel for how big that design is going to be. That first row. and because it's got an inner curl, I think that will be fine. See how tight and the other curl comes in. I always do this just to give me a sense of what's going to happen before I actually do the stitching. If I want to adjust anything, like I want to make the pattern a little smaller, I need to make it a little bigger, and making sure that it goes right off the edge of the quilt as well. So this is going to take a bit, and this is where I will fast forward the camera work when I do post-editing here, or post-production.
I'm not sure. Do you think the curls need to be a bit bigger?
Well, remember, they're going inside themselves, but when they come out, so judge it by the outside line. So there's the outside line.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it if the
bigger than that?
got a little bigger that went down a little further.
Okay. What? Oh, you're trying to match it up so it's
well, not equal, but just so that it takes up more of like this box than.
Okay, but you know that these will come up into.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well we can try it. Okay, so stop. Let's get out. Okay, so if you want them bigger, you hit this. So that went up to that. Now we can go back over to. I'm not going to save it. I got to place it again. Okay. And go to trace. Because it's going down to that part. Like that's just where it's going to start. Okay, that gives you a little bit of indication of where it's going to go across that white. See, until it goes to the. I find it sometimes very hard to judge depending on the design exactly what you're going to get. That's why I try not to play too much with the sizing, because it calculates it on the size of your quilt and for the design and figures out what it thinks is the best. So you see where that comes down. So that's where the next one will start a little above that line.
Yeah, I know it'll all shift as it goes.
Yes, it will, because your quilt's
going
to shrink.
Yeah, I know. That's okay.
So do you like that size?
Yeah, I like that size better.
Okay, so what we want to do now is watch it go all the way. One thing I don't like about this program is there really isn't a way to speed it up or to jump and go to the far end. You have to sit here and go through one row. We'll only go through one row. We won't go down to the next row.
No.
With it.
Is that too busy for this one? This quilt?
No, I don't think so. And one thing about this design that's nice is you have circular motifs in here. It'll pick up the circular motifs. So I will fast forward this when I do post-production. Okay, we're coming to the end of the trace on the first roll right here, and we're just going to see how far off the quilt this is going to go, because we do want it to go off the quilt. Say that that's pretty good. Okay, so we don't need to do the next row because we figured this out. So we'll stop it. Okay, so the next stage of this is going to be to let the machine actually sew, to quilt it. So we'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Next week, part 4, yes, there's more, of Walter Does Lucey. And so stay tuned for that next week. And final thoughts, anything? Well, busy weekend. Jelly Roll Race Saturday night, starting at 4 on Stephanie's channel. Stephen and Walter live Sunday afternoon starting at 4 on our channel. But before that, but you guys won't see this, we have the retreat with Shannon of Slay Arts and Stephanie. So yeah, lots for us this weekend. Hope you have a good weekend. Hope you're surviving the heat wave or whatever this is. The heat dome. They call it the heat dome.
Sounds like
under the Thunderdome.
A Mad Max movie.
I know, really. Where's Tina when you need her? Oh, she's dead. Okay. Anyways, so have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye for now.